Everyone. Welcome to our webinar. This is Joe Zappi, and I'm here with Jonathan Thomas. I'm co-CIO of LVW Advisors, and Jonathan is one of our financial advisors, and he's a certified financial planner. It's August 8th, 2023, and we're here to talk with you today about a different topic for our webinar. We're calling it Field Notes, Episode 1. Jonathan will get into some details about the format of this, but we're pretty excited about it.
Absolutely.
Before we get started, let's just do the compliance thing, Jonathan. So anything we may say in this webinar today should not be considered investment advice. If we happen to mention specific securities, it's not a recommendation to buy or sell, and LVW clients may or may not hold any of these securities. If you'd like more information about our compliance or privacy policies, visit our website. Jonathan, talk a little bit about how we came up with this idea and what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so this is something we've talked about for a while, Joe. Like, how can we share what we're talking about with clients? Mostly a lot of the different financial planning topics, questions that they may have, like really digging deep into the financial plans. How do we explain that to clients who maybe we're not talking with as much, right? Because a lot of the same things are coming up and they're really good. And so we're going to call this Field Notes, as you said. These are real conversations with clients. These are topics that have come up oftentimes. A lot of them may be educational components, new tax and estate laws. We may touch on market updates, some things that maybe you and Lori are talking about, or things that you and I have talked about in the past. So again, we're going to keep it light, hopefully keep it fun and very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing we want to talk about today is we just sort of want to do a look back. One of the things that in my 30-year career, Jonathan, that I found over and over and over again is analysts and strategists and financial advisors that sit in our chair are always making predictions or recommendations about what they think is going to happen in the future. But almost never does anybody go back and keep score. And one of the habits that I have is I do daily journaling, and I always look back at the things I've said in my journal and things, that did it happen or didn't it? Where were we right? Where were we wrong? And so that brings us to today's market topic for this webinar. And that is, in the fall, when we did our video, we talked, first of all, it was in the middle of a huge sell-off, right? Inflation was flying, interest rates were going up, markets were dropping, and we recorded our video, and, we just tried to bring a little bit of sanity to it. And we said, first of all, the bear market was doing its job at the time. Stocks were dropping and earnings weren't really dropping that much. Stocks were dropping faster and markets got cheap. So we put this slide up in September or October when we recorded to say the bear market's doing its job and stocks were trading at below average multiples. So from a valuation point of view, even though everyone was scared and inflation was going crazy, we said, don't be afraid to buy stocks here, because if you buy low and sell high, it has tended to work over time.
Yeah,
so this was
right here, right? This is
exactly
what we're talking about.
100%. And this is a slide that we shared, and we spent a lot of time on this one in that webinar. And we said, look, when stocks go down 25%, recency bias makes humans say, well, if they drop 25%, they might drop another 25%. But the reality is, the facts are, and history says, that doesn't really happen. So let's keep score on where we were, because we said, hey, markets are down 25 or 26% from their high as of the end of September. They ultimately ended up going down close to 30% when they bottomed sometime around October 22nd. But from the point on this chart forward, we can fill in two of these data points. So the first one would be the 3-year number for the COVID bear market, which sits to the right of that 56.4. So the 3-year return from the COVID low through yesterday is 99%. That makes it at the best 3-year period going all the way back to 1950 after a 25% decline in the markets. And the 1-year data point, we can't fill that in just yet, but what we can do is talk about progress, and we will fill it in our next Field Notes webinar. But that would be the number below that 56.4 on the 1-year column. And from October 1st, the S&P 500 is up 19%. And from the low, in-place low of October 22nd in 2022, the S&P 500 is up 26%. So I think it's important just to look back and understand that when markets decline more than normal, a lot of times they recover. And historically, markets have always recovered. And, we'll see where the score is at the end of September at 23. But for right now, this pattern that's worked out really well since 1950 continues to play out.
Yep. Pretty amazing stuff.
Pretty simple
Uh,
stuff.
yeah, I think what was interesting about this was that the decline happened so quickly here, in that, the S&P went down 25%, 25.2%, right? It wasn't 40 or 50%. So, uh, it's a little interesting there. Like you were buying it almost exactly down 25%, but to have it be on track to be an above average 1 year and 3 year number, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it just goes to show you can't pick bottoms, you can't time bottoms, but when markets drop a lot, you generally be adding to your equities.
For sure. All right, so let's get into the topics for August. And the first topic, Joe, is I bonds. So this was really in vogue a little over a year ago. This is right when
I bonds
inflation started to
are
become a big
they're
story.
they're inflation savings bonds, right?
Yeah. So Series I savings bonds, they're called. They're issued by the US government. Basically, the rate that you earn on these is tied to CPI or inflation, and it resets twice a year, every 6 months, in October and in May. So over a year ago, these were paying like 11%. So a lot of clients were getting headlines, seeing headlines about how do I get 11%? Or I heard about this, and I actually put out a video to clients explaining how to actually go about buying them. And of course, a lot of people did. And so this is really just an update on where they are today. So today, those I bonds are now only paying 4.3%, which still sounds pretty good if you were to go back 2 years ago. But now money markets are paying more than that, almost 5%. And you can buy a 1 year treasury bill or a 6 month T-bill for more than 5%. So, it's probably our view now, Joe, that we look to cashing those in. And just the one caveat here is if you hold it for longer than a year, you do give up the last 3 months interest. But even doing that, I still think you're better off doing that today and then moving that out and picking up additional yield and probably liquidity.
Interesting. Yeah, and there's a limit, right? To if you're purchasing I bonds, it's not an unlimited amount. I remember we got some questions last year about
Yeah.
can we do this for clients?
Yeah. Can we go all in on the 11% I bond? No, it was just 10,000 per individual. So we had clients buy them for their spouse, for their kids, et cetera. And so, now that they've done that, they probably picked up 9 or 10% annualized. It may be time to cash those in and put those funds elsewhere. So that was the first thing. And the
I
second one
can't
is
before you go there, just have to make one comment.
sure.
One thing I've got to look up, and I don't have the data point, is I wonder if they had put those same dollars in the S&P 500 on the same at the same time, if they would have made more or less than 11.
Oh,
Interesting, interesting thought.
Yeah, way more. This is just better than keeping it saying cash.
Right. Yep. Okay.
And
Sorry. Topic 2.
yeah, no, and it's also a hedge. It was a hedge against further inflation. So we didn't know, well, we thought, but we didn't know that inflation was going to come down as quickly as it did, right? So if that 9-11% inflation continued or went up to 15 or 20, like who knows, that would have been a nice hedge. So it was definitely a good investment at the time. The second one, this has been an issue that I've worked with clients my entire career, right? They have young kids, they want to help save for college, but they're concerned, well, what if my kid doesn't go to college? What if they get a full ride scholarship? What if I put too much money in and then I have all these unused dollars? Where does it go? And the story was always, well, if they have siblings, if you have more kids, maybe even grandkids, you can just change the beneficiary, which you can still do. But there's now an even better option, which is to convert some of those unused 529 plan dollars to a Roth IRA for the benefit of your kids. So it's really interesting. This is new. This came out earlier this year in the Secure Act 2.0. Obviously, there's limitations to this. They say that you're allowed to do no more than $35,000 per individual over the life of the 529 or the Roth IRA, I guess. And you can only do so much money per year. And so today, the most you can contribute to a Roth IRA is $6,500. So if you were to do that, taking it from the 529 plan, it would take a little more than 5 years to complete. But then there's limitations too around income. So let's say that they come out of college and they're already making more than six figures, they may make too much money to contribute to a Roth IRA. So you wouldn't be able to even do that. You also have to have the 529 plan open for at least 15 years. So if this was something that like you started saving for college when your kid is like 12 or 15, that probably wouldn't work until they're much older. So this is a
Right.
great reason to, get a 529 plan open, especially if you have young kids, just to get the clock started.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's a step in the right direction.
yeah, I was going to say it's a nice addition to the ultimate exit out of 529 plans if all the money isn't used for higher ed.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a lot of details around it though, and I know you have those details in your field notes that you're happy to share with clients.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. It definitely makes the case to continue to save in the 529 because you get that tax deduction. Here in New York State, you're getting a $10,000 tax deduction up to if you do contribute to 529. So there's benefits, right? It's tax free if you use the money for college, and now it can grow on tax free theoretically forever, right, Joe? Like you do the math around that. If you were able to graduate from college and you're able to convert that $35,000 to a Roth IRA in your early 20s. I mean, you're going to be a millionaire at 65 just from that almost, right?
Yeah,
So
and what's interesting about that is I do see some planning. I see some planning opportunity for clients as their kids or grandkids are entering the final year of college, and there's 35 or 40,000 left in a 529 plan. I could foresee us saying to the parents, maybe you pay this tuition out of
yeah,
pocket, and then we'll set up conversions of that 529 and get your grandchild or child started on a retirement savings plan using Roth IRAs. So
yep.
there's some good opportunities here. I think
No,
it's
I
great
love
you
that.
brought it up. Yeah.
Yep. And then the last is health savings accounts, right? So this is sort of something that maybe not all advisors are talking about their clients to, right? This this is something that you need to obviously be employed. You need to have an eligible high deductible plan. There's contribution limits right now for a family. Next year, it's going to be $8,300. So it's not nothing, right? That's a pretty good amount of money. But usually, how these works is you contribute money from your paycheck into your HSA, similar you would to a 401k, and then you can reimburse yourself for eligible healthcare expenses. All right, that's how most people use it, right? They fund it with a couple $100 a month, whatever. They're using it to reimburse themselves. But there's really a better option here. Most HSAs now allow you to invest those dollars, so they're not just sitting in cash earning zero. You can actually invest them, let's say, in the S&P 500. And you can delay paying yourself back for really a long period of time. There's no limit to this. So what I've been telling clients is, if you have the cash to pay for health expenses as they come up, use your cash, right? Or use other funds, let the HSA grow indefinitely into the future, but then save your receipts. Because by saving your receipts, you're able to reimburse yourself tax-free at a later point in time, whether it's, you got to buy a new roof on the house, or you're looking for a down payment on a vacation property, or you want to take a big vacation. You could pay yourself back for those expenses you had 10 or 20 years ago, tax-free. So I think it's something that I don't think enough people are taking advantage of. Certainly they're not talking about it enough. So something that we wanted to talk about, to all of you
Yeah,
about.
I think awareness is the key, right? The the tendency I think for a lot of people is whatever causes the least amount of effort. So funding an HSA and then using it for short-term medical reimbursements is probably what most people do. But I think it's important that people are aware that you don't need to do that. And actually, if you max your HSA every year, if you have the right kind of medical plan, that over the course of 5, 10, 15, or 20 years, that money can grow into something substantial. Without most people don't even realize that you can do this. So again, I think it's another good topic.
Yeah, and the other thing too, people will say, well, what if I don't have any health expenses to reimburse myself, which is probably very unlikely. But an HSA works just like an IRA once you turn 65. So you can take money out of the HSA penalty free. You'll just pay ordinary income taxes as if it was an IRA. So very easy to get money out. It doesn't just have to be for healthcare expenses. Yeah.
Great. Well, those are those are three really good topics. I know we've already got a couple of topics jotted down in our journals for the next video that we share with everybody. So thanks, Jonathan, for going through
Cool.
those.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
See you next
So
time.
just to sort of wrap this up, feel free to reach out to us if you have more questions, you like more detail about these things. We will post more detailed show notes when we actually publish this and share it with clients. And we thank you for your trust, and we'll see you again soon.
All right, thanks.